Good evening. It's 8 o'clock and welcome to today's episode of Marvelous Medicine. We are going to talk about social responsibility of doctors, and the speaker is Dr. Aravind Kumar. He's the chairman, Institute of Chest Surgery, Chest Oncosurgery, and Lung Transplantation at Medanta Hospital, Gurugram, and founder and managing trustee, Lung Care Foundation India, and Doctors for Clean Air and Climate Action. Dr. Aravind did his MBBS and MS General Surgery from All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Delhi. He developed an interest in thoracic surgery while working in All India Institute of Medical Sciences and started with open thoracic surgeries. Over the years, he has spearheaded the introduction of video-assisted thoracoscopic surgery, that's VATS, and robotic thoracic surgery in India. He is known for his passion for teaching and has trained surgeons and physicians across India. He has over 200 publications in reputed medical journals and has written chapters in over 20 books. He is also a frequent speaker at all surgical meetings across the country and abroad. Dr. Aravind Kumar received the prestigious B.C. Roy Award as Eminent Medical Person in the year 2014. I will not be talking about his non-medical activities because he'll be talking in detail about it. Thank you so much, Dr. Aravind Kumar, for accepting my request to speak. Actually, you had given a speech on these lines at a surgical conference last year, and people who heard it are in fact, one of the listeners said she was mesmerized. And so we are really looking forward to a wonderful session with you. Thank you so much once again for readily accepting our invitation. Moderating the session will be Dr. Arjun Khanna. He is the head of the department and senior consultant pulmonary medicine at Amrita School of Medicine, Faridabad. Dr. Arjun did his MBBS and MD medicine from KGMC, Lucknow, and DM pulmonary and critical care medicine from Safdarjung Hospital, New Delhi. He is also a European diplomat in adult respiratory medicine and an APSR fellow in interventional pulmonology from Thailand. He was the global rising star in pulmonary medicine in 2019 at the Lung Health Council at Nice, France. He has more than 100 publications and book chapters to his credit, has given hundreds of talks and lectures, and his areas of interest are severe asthma and airway diseases, pulmonary rehabilitation, and end of care and palliation. Thank you, Dr. Arjun, for readily accepting my invitation, and thank you, Dr. Puneet Dhar, for introducing me to both Dr. Aravind Kumar and Dr. Arjun Khanna. Over to you, Dr. Aravind Kumar.
My teacher, respected Professor Samiran Nandi, Dr. Vidya Mohan Ram, Dr. Patta Radhakrishna, Dr. Puneet Dhar, the coordinator for today's session, moderator, Dr. Arjun Khanna, my distinguished colleagues, friends from across the country, a very, very warm good evening to all of you. First and foremost, my very humble and sincere thanks to Dr. Vidya, Dr. Patta Ramakrishna for this wonderful series. When I came to know about it, I requested Dr. Vidya to give me the link, and I went through a large number of videos of the past recordings, and trust me, it's been one of the most enriching experiences to go through. And the last one which I went through today morning was the last presentation, how not to be stupid. And that also helped me in preparing this presentation. So thank you so much for starting this beautiful series on non-medical or not so technical topics. And once again, my thanks to Dr. Puneet Dhar for introducing me to this elite group and offering this presentation. Thank you so much. It's a wonderful experience to be interacting with the teachers and colleagues from across the country at the same time. Thank you so much. The topic that I chose was something which is very, very dear to my heart, and I'm extremely passionate about this, which is social responsibility of doctors. Well, when we talk of social responsibility, there are a large number of areas where we can help people. The one area which I actually am particularly interested in, very passionate about, is the air pollution and its health effects. So as I give the presentation over the next 35, 40 minutes, I'll just share a brief story about how my being in thoracic surgery actually brought me face to face with this presentation, with this problem, about which till about 10 or maybe about 15 years back, till about 15 years back, I knew very little, just like what an average person knows, we occasionally read. But then I was faced with some pictures which actually moved me, and I'll share that experience. Then I'll take you through the health effects, or rather entire gamut of health ill effects of air pollution, which at the end of presentation you would realize is far more serious and far more all organ encompassing than any one of us imagines. And this is based on my interaction with a large number of people from across the country. So that will be the first part. Then I'll very briefly discuss with you how, faced with those images and faced with this knowledge about the air pollution, how we moved to setting up a foundation to do our bit about it. And finally, end with a call to all of you passionate people. If we together, through the medium of this Doctors for Clean Air and Climate Action, can make a difference to this. So first thing, what moved me out of the OR? I always used to talk of chest surgical topics. What brought me to this here? As a chest surgeon, I open chest every day and I see lungs. And I have been seeing this since 1988 when I actually got interested in this topic. We are born with pink lungs, and this is how they look. And this is what I used to see till about 2007, 2008. Around 2010, and I don't know why it happened around that time, something changed, and we started seeing more and more of this kind of lungs. Initially, we used to see this kind of black lungs only in smokers. Lung cancer was an area of my interest, so we used to operate, and these people were mostly smokers. So you would see this kind of lung in them. But then I started seeing this kind of black deposits on the lungs of non-smokers also. And that really troubled me. What is happening? And then one day, I happened to be operating on a teenager. He was in 13 or 14. And I saw these deposits on the surface of his lungs also. And this really terrified me, that if this is what is happening in the teenage, in the beginning of teenage, what will happen by the time this boy reaches 35, 40 years of age? And he's going to have serious repercussions. Sadly, 99% of the people are not aware of this silent kind of a bad revolution or bad effect happening inside their chest. They're totally unaware. So therefore, at that point of time, when I was faced with these kind of images of a pink lung that we are normally born with, this is kind of thing that while seeing, and also seeing these kind of things in children, I thought to myself that, well, should I just keep quiet about these things? Well, it's happening. I can't do anything about it. Or I move out of the OR, get these pictures, and come into public space and start sharing these pictures. So I thought, okay, maybe the second choice is better. I cannot, when I'm aware of this information, if I keep quiet, I don't think I'll be doing justice to my profession. And I decided that, okay, let me deep dive into this topic. What exactly is happening? Why is this happening? And that's how I got interested in this topic. And I started studying and discussing with people, started attending meetings, conferences, etc., etc. And what I learned over the next few months after I got interested in this topic was truly horrifying. And friends, in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to share this information with you as to what is happening inside our body. Many of you might feel that you are all very busy in your respective professions. Why should you be truly bothering about it. Okay, as a chest surgeon, I see it, it troubles me, but you are all, somebody is operating on abdomen, somebody is in a different field, this way. Why should you be interested? My answer to that is, friends, there was a time when we all used to feel that pollution is something which is confined to cities. We used to think that pollution is something which is confined only to Delhi. We used to think that pollution is something confined only to North India. We used to think that pollution is confined only to the Indo-Gangetic belt. It doesn't affect the rest of the country. But as you would realize in the last 5 years, maybe it was true 20 years back, I don't know. But how things have unfolded in the last 5 years, the fact is that today, 98% of the surface area of the country is impacted by the effects of air pollution. So there is no city, you would have read that this year, in this winter gone by, first time in the last so many years, Mumbai city had air pollution levels which were higher than that of Delhi. Chennai also faced this problem, Hyderabad, Bengaluru, you name a major developing city, and this problem exists there. So from being so-called north-centric or city-centric problem, it has become now a national problem. It is something which is present across the country. So that's important information, number one. Number two, unlike water pollution or food pollution, where by specific steps, by not drinking water outside, not eating the raw food outside, etc., we can save ourselves. Air is one thing which is equalizer in a true sense, whether it's a poor person, rich person, male person, female person, young child, elderly person, everybody breathes nearly 25,000 times a day. Children breathe much faster, and every breath is taking these toxins into your lungs and causing immense damage to your whole body. Worse, it's affecting our children much worse than it affects us. So, friends, that brings me to the statement that it is something that we as citizens, and especially as doctor citizens, just cannot afford to ignore. And all of us should be aware it as a social responsibility of our profession. And more than that, even as individuals who would have our families, who would have our children, grandchildren, each one of them is impacted by it. And therefore, it makes sense that we have a little bit knowledge about it. So, does it impact health? The answer is yes. And I'm going to answer this in 8 questions very quickly. First is, at what age do the effects of air pollution start? Most of the people think that it starts around 18, 20 when we start sometimes smoking. What happens when the child takes birth? What happens during childhood? Which organs of the body are affected? What diseases does it cause? Does it kill us or it only causes diseases? What is the magnitude of the economic impact? And finally, what is the overall magnitude of this problem? All of us, most of us, I should say, believe that this problem starts affecting us in teens or maybe when we are children. The fact now, data shows that if a pregnant mother is living in a polluted city, she inhales the polluted air, the toxins get absorbed from her lungs, go into the blood, and through the placenta, they go and impact the fetus. So if it's first trimester, it leads to congenital defects. Second and third trimester, it leads to growth retardation, intrauterine death, premature delivery, and a whole lot of perinatal problems. So air pollution starts impacting us even before we are born. So that's information number one. It doesn't even wait for us to be coming into this world. It starts hurting us even before. And all that I'm going to say in the next 25, 30 slides is not a figment of my imagination. Every line is based on hard data available in the literature from well-conducted studies. People have done analysis of the placental blood, and shown dozens of toxic chemicals and particles to be present in the placenta. When the child is born and he takes the first breath, we give oxygen for maybe few minutes, half an hour, 1 hour. After that, the baby is left to breathe the same ambient air. And if the air quality is bad, the child is breathing bad air. And there's a formula to calculate the damage, which says that 22 microgram of PM 2.5 is equal to one cigarette. So average, if we take city of Delhi, our average PM 2.5 is around 250, 300. And during the heavy pollution months of September, October, November, December, it even goes to 800, 900,000. If we divide that by 22, that means average Delhiite is smoking about 10 to 12 cigarettes every day. So I dare say that in the polluted city, the newborn starts smoking or becomes a smoker. When I made this statement on television a couple of years back, I was threatened that penal action will be taken against me, and I'm sensationalizing the story, etc., etc. But then I challenged them with this data, that this is the data. You come and prove me wrong. And then there was a debate on one of the television channels, and finally they said, yes, in terms of damage, this is happening. And then now there is enough data available to actually show this damage in teenagers and in children. As the child grows, there is more and more damage. So breathing polluted air is akin to smoking. And in a polluted city or country, there is no true non-smoker. As the child grows, he keeps getting exposed to these levels, and it affects every organ because they are growing tissues, and these chemicals cause all kinds of retardation. The worst affected is the respiratory system, but all organs of the body. So cardiovascular system, nervous system, respiratory system, these are the three worst affected. Pneumonia is one of the commonest causes of death in under 5 children, and it's directly related to plane. It's not just present in cities, in villages, because of the burning of the solid fuels inside the houses for cooking. The children are exposed to extremely high levels of PM 2.5. So oftentimes people ask me, okay, which organs are affected by air pollution? And I show them this picture, that these are the only organs in the body which are affected. If you would see from brain to toe, there is no organ which escapes the ill effects of air pollution. Because of being the portal of entry, lungs are the most affected, but head to toe, no organ escapes. And what diseases it causes? We all know: allergy, asthma, COPD, emphysema, higher incidence of tuberculosis, very, very high, almost an epidemic of lung cancer that all of us chest surgeons are now seeing, pneumonia, reduced lung capacity in children. These are the various lung effects. To show what I have seen in my 30 years career as a thoracic surgeon or as a lung cancer surgeon, I put this comparison of what I saw at AIMS in 1988 when I started my career as a thoracic surgeon, and in 2018 when I was at Gangaram Hospital, I analyzed my data. This is lung cancer patients. So way back in 88, 90% of my patients were true smokers, very few non-smokers. Coming to 2018, now this difference is 50-50. Half of the patients are so-called non-smokers. See what a major change has happened. More importantly, the age at that time was 50 to 60 years. It's now come down to 40s, and 10% of the patients today are in 30s. And now we have also started seeing patients in late 20s. Why is cancer occurring 10 to 15 years young earlier now? Answer lies in the age of exposure. Today, the exposure is starting at birth. So from birth to 30 years, that child or that person has been exposed to carcinogens for 30 years, and therefore lung is ready to become carcinogenic, because that's the period required for the tissues to turn. In 88, there were hardly any women, and today 40% of my patients are women who are from non-smoking families, non-smokers. And I told you that I don't see any pink lungs. So in the 30 years short lifespan, I'm seeing this major change in the demography of lung cancer. And I attribute this to air pollution. And I have no hesitation in saying, and this is based on the OPD data, that next 10 to 15 years, there's going to be an epidemic of lung cancer in our country. It also affects heart. So a lot of accelerated premature hypertension we are seeing in children, in school children, is because of this. The adults are known to suffer higher incidence of heart attacks because of exposure. In children, a lot of schools are reporting hyper excitability in children. And they used to think that, oh, today's children are very naughty. They're not naughty. They're suffering from neuroinflammation because of the exposure to air pollution. And that neuroinflammation is actually causing that hyper excitability. And now there is data, particularly from China, to suggest that exposure leads to a decline in the final IQ attainment by a figure of 10 to 20. In adults, it is known to be cause of stroke. There is data that wherever there is a very high peak of air pollution, 15 days later, all hospitals report a higher incidence of people coming with MI as well as stroke, directly attributable to exposure. Cognitive development, I have said, very startling data which has come in the last 5 to 10 years is that diabetes, of which we are the world capital, is also related to pollution. These chemicals go and get deposited in the pancreas, leading to insulin disturbance, and that's what leads to diabetes. And more importantly, a lot of schools are reporting obesity in children, as well as people are seeing it in adults. And earlier it was thought that this is because of what we eat. But now, again, the data says that it is also because of what we breathe. It leads to deposition of toxins in the lipid, which leads to obesity. So eyes, of course, we all know. Hair, skin, we all know. So there is whole lot of damage which is happening, which is worst in pregnant children, ladies. It's worst in children because they have growing tissues and they breathe faster. They run much more than we do. So they have higher respiratory rate for longer periods. So we breathe 25,000 times a day. Maybe they breathe about 35,000 times a day. Likewise, elderly people, because of their reduced immunity, they also suffer from. It not only makes us diseased, there is now enough data to tell that it actually leads to more than 7 million premature deaths every year. The University of Chicago has done a study across India, and they have come out with the data that nearly 5 to 6 years is being lost by an average Indian. And in North India, this figure is about 8 to 9 years because of the exposure to air pollution, which means if our air was to become like WHO levels, we would live 8 to 9 years longer in Northern Belt and 5 to 6 years across the country. So to summarize, in polluted cities, breathing kills us. It's a very paradoxical kind of statement, but it's a true statement. A lot of people say that if we take measures to control pollution, it will cost a bomb. Well, the answer to that is if you don't take measures and you let the pollution play havoc as it is today, it will actually be a costlier proposition. Why? Because people will fall sick. There will be direct costs of treatment, which will be colossal. There will be lot of man hours lost because of the sickness of the patient, the attendants, the family. So there will be a lot of indirect cost because of millions and millions of man hours lost. And of course, it will lead to a huge number of premature deaths, which also is the cost is there. So it's a huge loss to GDP. World Bank made an estimate that a highly polluted country like India loses approximately 8% of its GDP because of the health effects of air pollution. So I would say that air pollution is an international health emergency. Why I say international is because although we talk about India, but the whole of Southeast Asia, the whole of Asia, Africa is also impacted. So it's only US and part of Europe which actually have air pollution levels which confine to the WHO standards, but a major part of the world, people suffer from health ill effects of air pollution. So it's an emergency for us in India, but it's also an emergency at a global level. Unfortunately, unlike COVID, which comes suddenly, kills in large number, kills suddenly, you attribute the death directly to that agent and it creates a worldwide havoc and it leads to massive responses, unimaginable responses like lockdown, etc. And corrective measures are taken. Unlike that, since the air pollution kills slowly, number one, it kills through various organs being diseased, and therefore when you suffer diseases of that organs, the cause of death is written as that disease. It is never attributed to the positive agent. For example, if somebody develops pneumonia, a child develops pneumonia due to exposure to air pollution and dies of that, the cause of death is pneumonia. Air pollution never finds a mention. Somebody develops air pollution related lung cancer and dies of that. That diagnosis is cause of death is lung cancer. Air pollution does not find a mention. Excuse me. And that's the reason it doesn't get the attention. There is only one instance in the world, whole world, where an 8-year-old girl called Ella died in London a couple of years back because of exacerbation of her asthma, which was caused by her exposure to air pollution. Her mother went to the court, fought this case in the court, and finally got the judge to order to the hospital that please revise her death summary and write air pollution as a cause of death, which led to exacerbation of asthma. So air pollution leading to exacerbation of asthma, leading to death. There is only one instance in the world. We have been suggesting this, that we should also, when we take history and talk to patient, start talking about this. So this was in brief about the whole gamut of health ill effects that it causes. So when I faced this problem, and I started reading about it and I got all this information, there were two choices before me. One was to just digest all this information, continue doing the surgeries that I was doing, or take these images and come into public space and share this with people to apprise them of the huge silent damage which was happening. And I thought it would be very selfish on my part if I hide these images and don't share them. So I decided to take this as a medical social responsibility. And along with three other colleagues, one of my friends, Mr. Rajiv Khurana, one of my colleagues, Dr. Bilal bin Asaf, and my son, who actually is an engineer, but because of being born and brought up in our house, he was also very passionate about this topic and he volunteered that I want to work in this area. Four of us started the Lung Care Foundation as a NGO to work in the area of educating masses, educating other people, and exhorting people to take the actions which need to be taken to address this pollution, because if we don't talk about it, then this problem will not get addressed. We thought that children are the most powerful medium to drive change. So when we set up this foundation in 2015 and we were wondering what should be our starting point, where should we start, we decided to contact the Municipal Corporation of Delhi, and we reached out to over 100 schools run by municipal corporations, where we took these children from 6th to 10th classes and in a very playful way which was called Aao Khele Doctor Doctor. Let's play Doctor Doctor. We took stethoscopes and we distributed, we took balloons and distributed in a very playful way. We talked to them how their grandfather smoking hookah in the house is hurting them, how the mother burning wood in the house is hurting them. We showed them images, etc., and tried to make them ambassadors for clean air. Now, this continued for 2 years. And then we thought we must do something which gets national attention. At that time, we thought of, by then we had developed good contacts with various schools, and we thought that let's get a large number of children at a stadium and make them into the image of a human lung. And we decided to create a Guinness World Record for India. And this was done on 23rd December 2017. And I'm very, very happy and humbled to share this 2 minutes video with you, which was done on 23rd December 2017. Now, this image that you see, which looks like lung, is actually 5,003 children wearing red color and blue color overalls from their head, who are standing in this 70 meter by 70 meter green tarpaulin in a lung formation shape. So nearly 4,000 students wore red overall, and they formed the various segments of the lung, and nearly 1,000 students wore the blue overall, which formed the trachea, the two major bronchi, and the segmental bronchi. This whole event was choreographed by Mr. Shetty, who was also the choreographer for the Asiad ceremony, and the Guinness team was physically present, and this was done in the presence of a lieutenant governor. And I'll just share this video with you. It's a 2 minutes video, and there is sound also.
Doctor, you
Mr.
need to
Vidya, is
share
the
the
sound
sound.
coming?
No, it's not. You need to share sound when you keep.
Okay. Just give me a second, because sound is important. Sorry, give me a second, please. Share sound.
From 30.
Is the sound coming now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
23rd December 2017. More than 5,000 school children. Recognizing the efforts of the young children, Lung Care Foundation awarded them titles of Lung Ambassadors. These children took the lead and created history by making a world record of the largest human image of an organ.
record. Amazing children, amazing.
I'm very happy to say that you have broken the record.
The President and the Prime Minister congratulated these lung ambassadors for their efforts. The children also highlighted the ill effects of air pollution on our health. And committed themselves
So this was the idea actually from our young colleagues, particularly Abhishek, who actually looked at the net and said that we must do something which brings this to the attention of the media across the country and across the world. And lo and behold, it actually achieved that. And just after this, we were flooded with requests for carrying out this activity in other parts of the country, which of course we did not agree to, but it led to lot of other activities happening across the country, most important of which was tying up with these schools for continuing this activity by forming what was called Best Club, Breathe Easy, Stay Tough, where actually we taught these children and particularly the biology teachers to keep discussing this and keep the students and their parents engaged. And this is something which is now slowly spreading to different parts of the country and different cities. And this is already present in about 7 cities, and slowly we are expanding. While we were doing these activities with the children, we also came across a couple of deaths occurring in schools because of children suffering from asthma attacks, acute exacerbation in the schools. And when we reached out to the schools, we realized that children actually have the teachers and schools have no asthma management plan, which prompted us to carry out studies in various schools. And we reached out to several schools in Delhi, which we took as a specimen, as a sample work. And we took schools in Mysore and Kottayam and did these pulmonary function test studies on nearly 5,000 children across the 3 cities. And we were horrified to find that nearly 37% of boys in Delhi, 19% of girls, and overall 27% of these children in the 9th and 11th classes had spirometry proved asthma, which actually prompted us that we should do something about asthma management in schools. And again, prompted by my son, who also was an asthmatic and was a very passionate believer that we must do something for the schools, we came out with this asthma manual for schools, where we gave information in a very simple way about what is asthma, how it gets triggered, how the symptoms can be caught by teachers, and what actions can be taken at the school levels, and emergencies can be converted into elective. We also suggested to them to have an asthma kit in every school. We also made videos how these kits can be used and what the teachers can do. And we shared this with our Environment Minister, Dr. Harshvardhan, at that time, who immediately said, what's the point of writing in English? It will not be read by very many people. So prompted by his advice, we actually got this translated into 12 regional languages, all 4 South Indian languages, Punjabi, Urdu, Bangla, Odia, etc., etc. So today it is available for free downloads at our website, and we have reached it out through the Environment Ministry to almost 1 lakh eco clubs which run in various schools across the country. Then again, we realize that something which is done pictorially always impacts people very much. So we again thought that let us demonstrate the effects of air pollution to people. And with this experiment where we actually formed this image of a lung by using HEPA filter and putting an exhaust fan behind it to mimic the process of breathing, and put it up in the campus of Gangaram Hospital on 3rd November 2018, which was day one. Our expectation was that maybe in about a month's time, it will turn gray or black. But to our horror, within a week or less than 5 days, it actually turned from white to black. And since it was displayed in an open space, again, it got worldwide media attention. And we told people that exactly what is happening to this lung, artificial lung, same thing is happening inside your body also. All these efforts got us a lot of attention. So TED Talks, etc., happened. And then we got an invitation to visit WHO. And then when we found out there are so many scientists and so many people who are giving big discoveries about the air pollution, why is a doctor being called to this paper? Then we realized that actually a doctor is a much more powerful messenger for clean air than anyone else. If other people will talk, they will talk in terms of levels of PM 2.5, this, that, another. But when a doctor talks about the illness caused by those levels, it immediately touches the heart of the people. They identify it and they immediately get impacted. Now, prompted by this information, that a doctor talking about air pollution is a far more powerful way than scientists or environmentalistic talking, we immediately got together and formed this group called Doctors for Clean Air and Climate Action, with the purpose of engaging and educating and seeking support of doctors across the country to become advocates for clean air. And this was done with the help of an international group with three key objectives. Number one, we will raise the awareness of the people, because traveling across the country, we realize that even senior doctors who are in that particular area are aware of the problem, but they are not aware of the magnitude of the problem, the extent of damage it is causing, and therefore it's vitally important to inform the people about how much damage is causing, because it is only when they will learn the extent of the damage, then the action will come. This is exactly what happened in COVID. We realized the extent of damage, and therefore we were willing to accept something like lockdown. Here, people have not yet realized the extent of damage. And that is why every time court gives an order, government gives an order, people, instead of following it, they oppose it. So I thought awareness is most important, which will lead to awakening. And when there is awakening, this will lead to action by the people and also acceptance of actions by the government. So these were the three key objectives. We realized that doctors see the ill effects of air pollution firsthand. Why am I in this space? Because I'm seeing the effects every day in my OR. So we are motivated to work in area because of something which we see every day. And when we talk to people about it being a health issue, it will connect with them much better than a scientist or an environmentalist or a government or an official talking about it. So we are motivated and we are best motivated. So I say doctors are the most motivated motivators for talking about air pollution. So on 4th December 2018, we launched this group called Doctors for Clean Air. This is Miss Christiana Figueres, who's the architect of Paris Agreement. And we had about 40 pulmonologists, surgeons, and passionate people from across the country. And since then, we have been launching our state chapter and making them champions in their area to then engage with the masses and other people in that area. So this is how we have our website, dfca.org, and we have put all this action about information, some basic information, onboarding guide, understanding air pollution, frequently asked questions, these posters about how it impacts heart, brain, etc., etc. All this information is there. Then we have identified some 15, 20 very, very passionate people across the country who are now spreading this flame in different areas. And just to enumerate a few, this is Professor Salil Bhargav in Indore, Madhya Pradesh, Professor Bakshi at Jalandhar, Punjab. This is Professor Suryakant at Lucknow in Uttar Pradesh. This is Dr. Rashna Hazarika, a very passionate pediatrician in Guwahati, Assam. Dr. Shivakant Mishra, a surgeon in Kanpur, Uttar Pradesh. Professor Parvez Kaul, who is the director of SKIM Srinagar at Srinagar. Dr. Shalabh Gupta at Ghaziabad. These are people who've taken this up as passionately as we were doing at one time. And they are now spreading this flame in their respective areas. We are going to different cities and forming city action groups and trying to engage more and more people in this area. So engage and educate the health professionals, identify these regional champions and empower them so that they can then spread this flame in their area. Then we've also reached out to nearly 20 national medical associations from API, ASI, IAP, cardiology, neurology, almost 20 national medical associations. And we had a meeting with their presidents and secretaries to enlist their support that this should become an important part of discussion in their national meetings also, and they should also be spreading this information. Then, as I said, we carried out this study about the incidence of asthma in children. We've been creating a lot of videos in English, in Hindi, and in regional languages so that we can reach the masses. And this is through the doctors talking about it. So the large number of such videos are there, which we send out to people in their respective area. Media is a very, very important group. And we've been reaching out to media at various levels, various cities, and we've covered almost every possible national and international channel. We also reached out to, there's a group called Parliamentarians for Clean Air. We reached out to them and we shared this information. And I'm happy to share that the National Green Tribunal actually used our study to give some judgments for this area. So a lot of activities are going on. We've also gone to various international forums, whether it is WHO, whether it is United Nations, whether it is COP 27, 28. And during COVID, when we could not physically go out to various places, we decided to use the power of Zoom. We decided to use the power of WhatsApp, and we had large number of videos released through the Doctors for Clean Air. And later on, when we started opening up, we helped a large number of people in reaching out the masks, the medicines, the pulse oximeters, ventilators, etc., etc. And we got this picture from one of the villages in Nainital who sent out to us thanks to help our visitors. So this was the activity that we have been doing. Thank you. So friends, the health ill effects of air pollution, how it impacted me to come out of the OR, set up this NGO, how I realized that doctor can be a far more powerful person to engage the masses, engage the media, engage the schools and principals, engage the civil society, and most importantly, carry out local level research and share it with the policy makers and somehow influence them about the seriousness of the problem and about the need to take urgent action. Actions are being taken. I'm not saying that governments and other people are not taking, but this topic is not getting the seriousness which it deserves. And that's why I thought I will use this very powerful platform of marvelous medicine to reach out to my colleagues and invite them all to be a partner in this journey of Doctors for Clean Air. If anyone wishes to be a part of it in a whatever smallest to biggest way contribute, you just need to reach out to DFCA, Doctor for Clean Air, dfca.org.in, or you can just send a SMS to me or a WhatsApp to me, or write at info@lcf.org.in. Whether it is reaching out to schools in your areas, whether it is reaching out to media in your areas, it is carrying out some small study in your area, which can bring out some new fact about the health impact of air pollution, engaging with civil society, engaging with the policymakers, or contributing in any manner whatsoever, it will be a delight to have anyone or all of you be part of this movement called Doctors for Clean Air and Climate Action. Thank you very much for your very patient hearing. And once again, I thank Dr. Vidya, Dr. Patta Radhakrishnan, and Dr. Puneet Dhar, and all of you for this opportunity of sharing something that I'm extremely passionate about. Thank you very much. Over to Dr. Vidya.
Thank you so much, Dr. Aravind. Actually, as soon as I shared the poster and the link, one of the doctors got back to me saying, how do I join Doctors for Clean Air? And so I laughingly told her, you better log into the meeting today and then you'll find out. So I will definitely send the link both for the email and the website to everyone who's on my contact list. If you don't mind, Dr. Aravind, if you can just stop sharing your screen.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Nandi, being your teacher, maybe we'll go with him first. Sir, any comments? Professor Nandi, any comments from you?
It was an excellent talk. It was very well structured, wonderful slides, and he got the message across very well. And I think it was a model presentation of an important topic. I congratulate my student. I'm glad he's gone so far.
My humble regards, sir. Most humble regards, sir.
Thank you, Professor Nandi. Over to you, Dr. Arjun Khanna, for your comments or any questions that you may have to Dr. Aravind.
Sure. I think it was a talk very well done, sir, as always. Always a pleasure listening to you. And again, such a relevant topic. And as a pulmonologist, life has become so difficult. Coughs don't go away. Phlegm doesn't go away. Patients are never okay. Exacerbations just don't die down. They keep coming back to you. And it is so frustrating that patient, asthmatics who would get okay with a couple of days of nebulization and steroids now don't get okay for a couple of months. And the exacerbations just not end. And they would keep, going from hospital to hospital, doctor to doctor, but their woes just don't get over with. And this is what air pollution is doing. And I think you've highlighted it so well. So some of the questions, we've had a lot of questions today. So some of the questions, I think we can both take them together. So one main question that has come up is there any kind of a screening test now, before patients actually become symptomatic? So is there any kind of a screening test which can be done to actually point out early lung damage?
So Arjun, as you would agree that with the present technology, the best screening test that we have is a pulmonary function test as of today. But you would agree that it's a very crude test as it stands today, as the technology stands today. The impedance plethysmography, which is now on the horizon, promises to be a far more accurate tool than the present pulmonary function. But PFT, as it stands today, is probably our best chance. But it is actually quite a lot of damage to have occurred before the PFT starts picking those signals where we can say that some kind of damage is occurring. Likewise, many people have used HRCT, but as you would agree that again, till the time that a significant damage to the lung parenchyma with consequent emphysematous and similar effects have occurred, before that, it's impossible. The kind of subtle damage that I see by means of these black deposits being on the surface of the lung, sadly, there is no test anywhere in the world which can pick up problems at this stage. And this is the stage through which people pass. So at the bottom, we have the normal population, 140 crore people, and it's a pyramid. At the apex, you have people dying of this disease. Now, they don't move suddenly from the bottom to the apex. So at the bottom, God has given us a lot of extra capacity in every organ. So when the damage starts occurring in a subtle way, slowly, our extra capacity starts to decrease. So many people, as they get impacted, say, oh, earlier we were able to climb 5 flights of stairs. Now we get breathless by only climbing 3 flights. So their reserve starts to reduce. Next stage comes when they start having some mild symptoms, and occasionally, as you said, they start visiting doctors for asthma, cough that doesn't go away, etc., etc. As the disease increases, damage increases, their visits become more frequent. They occasionally start, ending up in ER, occasionally getting admitted, and further or down the line, they get into ICUs, ventilator, and finally they die. So there's a lot of time gap between their exposure to begin and finally death happening. And death is only tip of the iceberg, which actually represents a very small fraction of the total impact on the society, which is far more than what death or visible disability tells. It actually is affecting every one of us. And I think a time will come in few years' time, Arjun, where every disease will have a link to air pollution. Recently, there was data from Europe where they are saying breast cancer is also somehow affected by exposure to air pollution. So we still await a sensitive method of picking up the subtle damage at an early stage. Arjun.
Absolutely so. Point very well taken. Unfortunately or fortunately, the lung has fantastic reserves. And by the time the lung function tests would actually start telling you that there's an obstructive ventilatory defect, it's already too late. So unfortunately, no screening tests as of now. So is there, how do you attribute pollution to organ damage? Is there a pathognomonic finding? Like when you're operating, do you have some kind of a histopath finding, or, is there a specific finding that you would attribute is due to a pollution? Or this is just a diagnosis of exclusion?
So there are no specific changes that are described that, okay, this is pathognomonic of exposure to air pollution, because what it does is, those black deposits, they have all kind of particulate matter, toxic chemicals, which impact locally as well as get absorbed through the capillaries into the blood and then have their metastatic effects. So what it starts causing is some kind of a fibrosis there. It also, since there are a lot of carcinogens, so they start acting on tissues and start that slow process of carcinogenesis, which over the next 2.5 to 3 decades, in some patients, not in all, so whole population is exposed, but it's only just like smoker. Every smoker doesn't get lung cancer. So likewise, some people who probably have a genetic predisposition or there are some other factors at play, they develop lung cancer. So there is a long time gap between exposure, initial illness, initial disease, worse disease, and finally emphysematous changes, COPD, higher incidence of ILD. Now, there is a lot of data from Jaipur, which is now attributing that these people have a higher incidence of ILD, higher incidence of tuberculosis. And what I am seeing, Arjun, is an absolute explosion, if I may use that word, of lung cancer in younger people, in women, and in non-smokers. It's frightening, actually, because it can happen with any one of us any day.
Absolutely. We see more lung cancer now in non-smokers than we see in smokers. And that is something which is
Absolutely.
very scary. And so a point that someone has raised is very, very valid. They've talked about that CKD guidelines or, consensus statements from professional bodies. Now they say that even for CKD, the environmental toxins and pollution is a driver. And as you very rightly said, there's data on breast cancer. For lung diseases, there's data now on almost every possible disease. As you very rightly said, there's very impressive data now from India that for ILD, our ILDs do worse than what globally all the other ILDs
Yes.
do. And that is
Yes.
because our
Yes.
ambient air pollution level is so bad.
Yes.
Not even talking about other, common diseases like OADs or COPD or asthma. We do
Sure.
know that pollution affects them. But, there's data now coming from kidney societies. There's data coming from cardiac societies that this is affecting all the body organs. So your comments on that, sir?
So I reckon that maybe in 5 years' time, we will have a situation where every disease in the body, Arjun, will have a link to air pollution. And that is why we've actually designed a form which we are now proposing to send to respected colleagues across the country with a request to print it on the back side of their OPD prescription, where they say क्या आपकी बीमारी एयर पोल्यूशन से लिंक तो नहीं है इज योर डिजीज लिंक टू एयर पोल्यूशन वेयर वीव जस्ट गिवन सम पॉइंटर्स just to make them start thinking that okay. And there is a suggestion that internally we have discussed to reach out to colleagues that every case sheet, every history in every patient should have a question, just like we write past history, family history, personal history. Like that, we should also take exposure history, air pollution exposure history. And if we really go into detail, and if somebody does a detailed analysis, I'm sure every disease will be found to have a link to air pollution somewhere or the other.
Couldn't agree more, sir. So very interesting question that has been asked. How to help our antenatal mothers to reduce the exposure to the prevailing circumstances and to minimize the impact? And to that, someone has actually replied that there's a whole document on improvement of the environment for pregnant and pre-pregnant mothers from air pollution, where they've advised certain exercises, indoor plants, outdoor plants. So is this true, sir? Is there anything that can be done for antenatal mothers?
Arjun, it's a question asked of me in every TV interview, which I give very frequently on this topic, that a doctor, government will keep doing its work, blah, blah, blah. Tell us some points by which pollution can be what it is, but we can escape the effects of air pollution. And my first answer to them is that your question is just like a question that I say that I'm wearing a white safari and I'm going to jump into a pond full of mud. Please tell me a way by which I can go into the pond but come out without my safari getting affected. If you are breathing air which has a PM 2.5 of 250, 300, 400, which we normally have in Delhi NCR, how on earth can you escape those ill effects? But then people still ask, yes, I agree that a lot of societies have given guidelines. People have talked about asking these mothers to stay indoors, not go outside. I say that indoor air is not manufactured in the house, it comes from outside. So if outside you have 400 AQI, maybe by cleaning or whatever, you may have 350 in your house, but you can't have 25, Arjun. So yes, that's number one, that staying indoor is no guarantee that you would not be exposed. Of course, there are times where the pollution levels peak. For example, early morning, we know the time when our children go to school, that's the time when pollution levels peak. And the evening hours when maximum traffic is there, that's the second peak which occurs, So if and this is the time where most of the people go out and take a walk or run in the park. So we say, first of all, don't go out, number one. Number two, indoor plants are, of course, accepted. So whether it is araucaria, mother-in-law's tongue, money plant, these kind of plants, but they should have large leaves because the surface is the one from where the exchange takes place. So these plants with large leaves, if you keep inside the houses, of course, it will help you. Lot of videos are there on the YouTube about foods, about nutrients, and about all kinds of things helping. Arjun, I would say that there is no, we are allopath. Now we can't be prescribing, some kind of a local unscientific medicine. So just day before yesterday, I saw a video, 8 magical foods which will reverse your lung damage. Now that had millions of views because, everybody would read. Now what they were talking, you eat carrot, you eat this, you eat this. Now I have no scientific data to be spelling out on this scientific forum whether eating any particular kind of food. Of course, I would say healthy, balanced, good diet, good nutrition, good sleep hygiene, maintaining your physical health, doing exercises, yoga, etc., helps. But I have had a lot of argument with people who say the yoga increases your resistance to fight effects of air pollution. Now, I would say that yoga is a exercise. It's a physical exercise which improves your endurance, your body performance. So maybe it will improve your lung performance. But whether it reduces your susceptibility to the impact of air pollution, well, I have my doubts about that.
Sure,
I
no
hope I
data
have
to prove.
answered the question.
Sure, sir. So now let me ask you something that I get asked at least 20 times a day. Do air purifiers help? And I have a now because I get this asked so often, I have a copy paste answer to this.
I,
And
I, I knew this question would come because this question has been coming to us from the day we did the Guinness World Record. There were a couple of companies who wanted to place an air purifier in the middle of that lung, and they were willing to write off the entire expense. And I said, no, I'm not going to sell this event. Now, air purifier is a local personal solution to what is a public problem. Let me explain this. We did the same approach to water. Our municipality water was dirty. So instead of cleaning that water, we took the route to taking water in the plastic bottles, and everybody carries plastic bottle today. But water is something that we can stay without for several hours. And therefore, even if I'm traveling and I have no access to bottled water, I can avoid drinking and drink when clean water is available because it's an elective thing. Same thing happened to electricity. Electricity was not coming. Instead of fixing that, we went for UPS and inverters and generators, etc. And now we have this problem of air pollution. And instead of addressing the source problem and solving it across the country, we are going for things like masks, air purifier, smoke towers, and what have you. Now, mask, Arjun, you would agree that surgical masks are no good. N95, when worn properly, covering the whole nose and chin, helps as long as the mask is on. But you put on an N95 and try keeping it for an hour or two. Can the whole country, and especially children, be subjected to mask 24/7 for the whole of our life? Is it a practical solution? Well, maybe if you're passing through a very polluted area, for some time, it's okay as a temporary. It cannot be a permanent solution. Coming to air purifier is like air conditioner. What it does is, it sucks in, there is a motor which sucks in air. That air passes through series of HEPA filters, which are there in a very densely folded form, and it lets out the clean air from the other side. So there is a volume handling capacity. So if you have a big room and you put a small air handling capacity, it will not be able to circulate. Number two, when you put an air purifier, the windows and rooms, the door has to be closed, just like AC. For it to be effective, you have to close the windows. So likewise, you have to close the windows and all. Thirdly, when your PM 2.5 is so high, the filter gets choked in a few months' time. And then you need to change that filter. And if you don't change that filter and there is a whole lot of carbon deposited there, it actually becomes a dirty fire rather than purifier. And I have gone to houses of people and opened this to realize, my God, the amount of carbon. The moment we opened, it was all carbon pouring out. So I said, is it cleaning or making your air more dirty. And these are intricacies, Arjun, which companies don't tell you. They just say, oh, put it and everything will be sorted. So I, speaking on public platforms, never recommend air purifier as a solution to the problem of air pollution. However, as a chest surgeon who operates on a lot of patients, sick patients, whenever I have my post-op patient going home, or we have patients with asthma, COPD, elderly people, etc. So this is a disease subset of population, which is at a very high risk if they are exposed to air pollution. I do recommend it with a caveat that it will be only effective as long as you are inside the room. Now, we spend about maybe 6, 7, 8 hours in a bedroom. When we are outside, in the office, in the car, in the malls, in the market, we can't carry our air purifier. So air purifier is okay for a small subset of people for a small amount of time at a heavy cost. But if someone was to recommend as a solution to public problem of air pollution in the country, the answer is a big no. Likewise, smoke towers are similar. They are basically big air purifiers. And so many of them were put in Delhi, but it will only suck in air from a small area. And the same problem, after a few days, that filter will get choked. Now, if you were to, we made a calculation, if you were to put smoke towers for the whole country, it would need more than the total budget of the government to be able to put air purifiers, because air is a continuous shed. It's a continuous column. Air knows no boundaries. So you can't put one here and say that, okay, my air is clean, because it will get air from surrounding areas also. So smoke towers, a big no. Air purifiers for certain subset of people for that amount of time that they are inside the room at a heavy cost, because it's and you must be aware of the specifications that its filter needs to be addressed as and when it gets dirty. Arjun.
Sure, sir. So thank you for clarifying that. Other questions, you've already answered most of them. There are people who are asking about antioxidants, role of steam, and as you very rightly said,
Arjun, if I can just interrupt for a
Sure.
minute, sorry. So, Dr. Aravind Kumar, you're telling about people joining from across the country. We have Dr. Shiva Pillai, who's joining us from South Africa, and he was the one who mentioned about their foundation's solutions for pregnant women. So, Shiva, if you want to come in now.
So let's hear from Dr. Shiva.
Thank you so much, Doctor. It was like a pleasure to hear you, because you were like a man of my heart, because you're preaching what we've been preaching here all the time. That Barker's hypothesis. I'm in fetal medicine guy, so we keep saying to the mothers how healthy you remain before and during your pregnancy affects your pregnancy. I thought at some time I'll send Vidya a document. There's been a huge study done in South Africa. What happened was, in South Africa, people were medical insurance became very high because people were claiming for cerebral palsies from the medical insurance. And so medical insurance shot up. So that's why most obstetricians in South Africa now, they just stopped doing medicine. But incidentally, to mitigate against that, they kept taking and doing placental histopathology studies. And these studies have been done for about now 6 years in a lot of placentas. So in one of the fetal medicine centers here, a retrospective study has been done to say, what is the effect of smoking? And in the study of the retrospective study on the placenta, and they found that mothers who smoked, they showed higher placental insufficiency than other mothers. There was increase in the percentage of IUGR. There was an increase in the incidence of preterm labor and premature rupture of membranes. There was an increase in the incidence of pregnancy-induced hypertension, and the early onset of pregnancy-induced hypertension, the curve got shifted to the left, such that it was presenting much earlier. So that study, it is clearly indicative that you smoking and air pollution as an offset of that has got a definite effect on the child, and that study is there. So that is there. On our own, we've been tinkering, because you can try to change public policy regarding, carbon emission, moving cars off the road and things like that. What you did in Delhi, changing number plates, and people buy two cars with two different types of number plate, which doesn't make any difference anyway. But something that we did, we have a plant in South Africa, and you have a plant also in India, it's bamboo. But we have a plant in South Africa that is unique. It is called spekboom. Now, spekboom is a unique plant because it's got an enormous amount of ability to convert carbon dioxide into oxygen. And it can work during the night because it's got a battery for photosynthesis, and it works during the night. So when we built smoke towers here, we didn't build industrial smoke towers, what you were talking about, but we built vegetative smoke towers. So during a period from 1992, from 2002 to 2004, when we had a very good minister of transport, it became compulsory that all the islands on the roads and all, we had to plant spekboom. And but the program died off on its own because people don't understand it, and people don't maintain the plants, and they don't understand there is a certain effect that is needed for it. But spekboom as a plant works wonderfully. But in India, if you don't have spekboom, bamboo as a plant works also wonderfully to reduce carbon dioxide. And if you have to make smoke towers, you can make vegetative smoke towers out of bamboo. Now, when I was in Chennai on holiday, I saw the smoke towers under the bridges and all, but no one planted the plants, and they didn't plant the spekboom. So one of the things that we are doing is propagating spekboom and putting this out. So there are other plants also that we flood these schools with, and there are a whole lot of indoor plants. As you said, money plant, snake plant, peace lilies, aloe vera. These are plants. The advantage of money plant and snake plant and peace lilies and aloe vera, they require no attention, just like the spekboom. They don't need to be watered. They're resistant to drought and things like that, and you can plant them in abundance, and you can change things. Another thing that we did, which we learned from the Himalayan rocket stove, in Nepal and those places, people were suffering from lung diseases because they were using indoor stoves. So there's a stove called an Eco 1 and an Eco 2 rocket stove that is made now. So we are manufacturing that there and giving that to families here, which is a smogless way of burning. And then that is helping to a great extent. Lastly, one of the things that we went to farmers and said, please don't burn your fields, because when you burn your fields, you're creating things. But a farmer is not going to do something unless it's got benefit. So we taught them the method of making biochar. There's a method to burn the field where you get char compost, which if added to compost can enrich the compost by 10%. 100% by 10 logs. And it makes a big difference. And a similar thing we did with, I replied to the thing about what we do for pregnant mothers. We said, let's improve the environment of pregnant mothers. Because one of the things that is happening with food also that the mothers are eating is laced with herbicides and pesticides and other kind of things, and how to get them to eat organic and grow organic food and teach them what is food that is nutritious. For example, we are now propagating certain things called Infino, which is amaranth. We also propagate spekboom. We propagate sweet potatoes and things like that, which are very healthy food. And there's a thing called Bambara peanuts. It's a plant you just grow once and you leave it in your garden and you got food for life. The plant never dies and you can eat it and it's healthy forever. It's got highest protein content. So those are things that our foundation is doing, because we're saying, while we agree with you, you cannot find a solution like putting a air purifier to solve air pollution problem. We have to solve the air pollution problem. But at least we can make these small changes that can make a difference while we campaign at the same time to decrease air pollution. Thank you very much. I hope your doctors foundation will accept people also from South Africa. I will definitely.
Most welcome, sir. Dr. Shiva, it's been pleasure, a privilege listening to your comments and your words of encouragement, and also your very vast experience in working in the area of the South African women who are exposed to pollution and having these problems, and the indigenous solutions which you have come up with. I'll take your coordinates from Dr. Vidya, and I definitely would reach out to you and would love you to be our member in South Africa. So, Dr. Vidya, thanks to you, we are already going international. Thank you so much.
So, Arjun, if you don't mind, we have Dr. Purnendu Roy as well, who, Doctors for Social Responsibility, just like Dr. Aravind is passionate about air pollution. Like that, Purnendu has been working while everyone is saving the tiger. He works to save the victims of tiger attacks and helps tiger widows and tiger children. Children of people who died. So, Purnendu,
Vidya,
what did you want to add, Purnendu?
Dr. Vidya, before Purnendu speaks, let me tell that Purnendu and myself, we've been brothers since 1990 when the laparoscopy revolution started in India. And we have very, very pleasant memories of several meetings that we attended together, danced in the rain, etc., etc. Pleasure to have you here, Purnendu. Pleasure.
Uh, Among the several meetings, I remember you visited Anandalok in a charitable organization and you wanted to see how large scale numbers, how to do 30, 40 gallbladders in a day.
Absolutely. And you
was...
showed it to us how you have picked up rickshaw walas from roads and trained them to become technicians in your OR. Hats off to you, Dr. Purnendu. Thank you.
Arvind, I wanted to say, everybody is saying, even you also know that obviously you're doing a fantastic job. I want to know that what are the things that we can bring about in small cities as a change in legislations or through any other activities? And do you have a group in Kolkata, whether you would want me to do anything? I'm quite ready to connect with you after the meet. And if there are certain things that you feel that these are the agendas, like over here, you bribe the person, you get a car pollution certificate. Now, I don't want to talk about how one lady has changed my whole state. So, but what are the things that you have that we could do? Do you have a group in Kolkata?
Yes. Not a very active group. So I definitely would reach out to you, Purnendu, after the end of this meeting. And we'll definitely have a lot to do together. So there are, see, everybody comes and looks for magical solution, which will, reduce the air pollution from the country overnight. Unfortunately, this is not something which has occurred overnight. It's the after effect of decades of wrong actions, wrong policies, etc., etc. And it's going to need some time, but short time. If we give it 20, 30, 40, 50 years time frame, we may not be alive, because we talked about air pollution, but coupled with air pollution is the problem of climate change. Just as the air pollution is making people sick, the climate change is making the planet sick. So we are sick people on a sick planet, and it's an existential threat to all of us. Truly, it sounds alarmist to when you hear it, but when you actually go deep dive into it and you realize the data which is staring at us, there are horrifying pictures of what's coming in the next couple of years. So that also is an important. What I say is that there are small measures that all of us can take. For example, if the one thing which I strongly encourage, there are some common causes of air pollution across the country, vehicles, etc., but there are also local specific causes. You go to Punjab, Dr. Shiva Pillai talked about the burning there. We all know it's a major problem in our area. You go to Punjab, crop burning is a major issue there. So I say that there could be some local specific issues. One of the things which Doctors for Clean Air could do is to do some local small time research and come up with, okay, in our area, this is a major problem, and sit with multifaceted group, which we call a city action group, which may have people from administration, business, academia, medical people, social people, journalists, etc., etc., and find a solution for your own. I have seen outside many schools, kacha areas where the buses come and get parked. It raises a huge cloud of dust. The children get down from the bus, pass through that cloud of dust, go inside the school, and the same story is repeated. One of the schools I went to, and I requested the principal, why can't we just make this area pakka? Every morning, these children are exposed, this will reduce. And that small little intervention led to a reduction in the exposure. So these are very, in itself, it sounds a very petty thing. Oh, so what? But then it is each drop which makes an ocean. So Purnendu, would definitely reach out to you. And together, there is a lot that can be done in Kolkata, and we can actually show the difference. Trust me.
Thank you, Arvind. I'm there with you. I just wanted to show that I would be keen to work together.
I'll reach out to you. I'll reach out to Dr. Seva Pillai. I'll reach out to you, Purnendu. Definitely.
Dr. Ajay Sharma, you wanted to say something? Dr. Ajay Sharma is a surgeon in the UK.
Yeah, thank you, madam. I'm a surgeon from Ghaziabad as well, actually. Started going to AIMS in 1980. I cycled through green fields, which were transformed over a period of years into concrete jungles, and people call it development. So, from green fields to anti-smoke elimination towers, actually, I thought it gave me the impression as if the decision makers are quite similar to Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Anyway, I won't go into those decision making thing. But what I like about Dr. Aravind Kumar, my 4 year senior to me, and it's great listening to him always, and also our guru, Professor Nandi. I really like that. These are very simple measures which are really going to make all the difference. This one point he mentioned, and it is similar kind of measures in our day-to-day life, which would really make all the impact. Simply, not just some very precious plants, but any plant and every plant, whatever is suitable to that particular topography and also to that particular environment, would save us from the pollution. And last point is that so much, of course, attention quite rightly has been made about cardiovascular disease, which is so rampant nowadays, is to a great extent one can blame it on microparticle, which are PM 2.5 or less, which do not stay in lungs, which get absorbed into blood. They cause ongoing inflammation, and that is responsible for very endemic now the vascular disease, which is really troubling us at very very young age, as young as you know better than me. People who are in 20s and 30s have been affected by cardiovascular disease. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Ajay. Pleasure.
Dr. Aravind Kumar, Dr. Manju Puri, an obstetrician, also has specifically said that they would like to join your movement and add a few drops of contribution to this vast ocean. So I will send you.
It will be such a pleasure. We have a very active tie-up with Foxy. So it would be definitely an honor and a pleasure to associate with Dr. Puri. I'll take all these coordinates from you, Dr. Vidya.
Back to you, Arjun. Sorry for hijacking.
No issues.
Yeah.
So, ma'am, I think all the questions have been answered, and we've had a great session today. And it's always a pleasure listening to Dr. Aravind Kumar, and our go-to guy for every thoracic surgery in Delhi NCR. And such an eye-opener. So I, as a pulmonologist, say this day in and day out, and every year, in Delhi NCR, the situation is bad throughout the year, but especially the second half of the year, the winters, the post-Diwali season is a nightmare. And every year, you feel so frustrated that nothing is being done. But I think today's talk has been an eye-opener, and I personally have seen that, such great work is being done by our fellow doctors. And so I think me and my team would love to join this, this effort of yours, and we would get back to you regarding this. And I would actually, talk to my pulmonology colleagues all over Delhi, NCR, and the pulmonology societies, because I think we can do great work if we join forces.
Sure.
And it's been an absolute pleasure listening to you. Thank you so much
Sure.
for the
Sure.
fantastic talk. Over to Vidya
Thank
ma'am.
you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Arjun. Regarding this occurrence of more pollution in the second half, Arjun, I have a term for it. I call it annual pollution festival. You know, come September and suddenly your phone starts ringing from people from media. Sir, we want a bite on this. I said, oh, that means it's now end September. So October, November, December, whole media will be talking about, oh, what are you doing? Oh, blah, blah, blah. Come January, when the optical quality improves, suddenly they forget. Today, if I call them that I want to say something about air pollution, no, they are busy in other thing. Suddenly, October, they lage. So I tell them, this is annual pollution festival, October, November, December. But it's sad that people associated with only optical quality, the air is bad throughout the year. The only time we have WHO levels achieved is few hours post heavy rain. That is the only time you have the air quality touching the national standards or WHO standards. That too for few hours only. Thank you, Dr. Vidya.
So, Dr. Venkatesh Natarajan, you've been typing a lot of comments. You have made something about climate change, and so if you want to just speak up, maybe everybody's not reading the chat box. So, Venkatesh, if you're
Sure, ma'am.
yeah.
Thank you. Excellent talk, sir. It's an eye opener, and I'm a nephrologist. I'm interested in air pollution and CKD. But looking at the lung pictures that you have shown up and put up, it's extremely scary to consider. And that pulmonary disease, if it coexists with CKD, it's going to be a really big problem. My question is, it is important that doctors should try and influence the powers that be to produce more awareness about amongst the legislators regarding the this global problem, a pressing problem that's going to affect generations that come after us. In that sense, what was your experience in speaking truth to power, sir?
So when you speak to them, they always agree with you that yes, it's a serious problem and we need to address it immediately. And they say that we are doing it. And I won't say that they are not doing. We have a national clean air program, which has set a target of achieving a 30% reduction in the ambient air pollution levels over the 2017 base value. But there is no compulsion to achieve that. It's a target which is set, which if met, fine. If not met, also fine. You know, coal-based power plants, we know, are one of the biggest sources of adding all these toxins. So there was an attempt by Environment Ministry to have electrostatic precipitators installed in all of them, which traps all the particulate matter, ash, and very little pollutant comes out. It's a very effective way of containing the pollution at source. But you know, all these guys got together and got a 2 years deferment of implementation, then another 2 years, and now I'm told it's deferred indefinitely. So what I feel is that intent is there, but when it comes to doing it, because some of these decisions are unpleasant, some of them cost upfront money, and the impact is not understood by the people. The economic consequences and health consequences are not understood by people, and therefore there is this easy way out of deferring it or putting it in committee, etc. What we need is COVID like approach, that it's killing more people every year than COVID killed in its entire course. It's maiming a lot of people, and it's actually impacting our young generation by reducing their IQ, their lung capacity, and all kinds of developmental disorders, which Dr. Shiva Pillai also alluded to. So when the gravity of these situations is impressed upon people, and more important, I feel that instead of they imposing and we following, if we as people across the country start demanding it, that for our sake and more importantly for our children's sake, we want air to be clean. When there is a movement across the country, which only doctors can achieve that, the powers that be also will have a more attentive and action-oriented behavior than they have today. Nobody says no, but urgency is not there in the actions, the kind of urgency which this topic deserves. That's my answer.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
We have Dr. Mettu Pradeep Reddy, who's a pediatrician, has been in the armed forces and has even been to Antarctica and seen the effect of climate change there. Dr. Pradeep, would you like to say something? I know you have typed a long message, but if you'd like to speak, sir.
Yes, madam. Good evening, Arvind sir, and
Good
I've had
evening.
the chance to listen to Shiva Pillai sir, and of course Dr. Arjun as well. And I felt this was such a important subject to talk on. And frankly, pediatricians and obstetricians are the ones who are seeing the effects of the topic that you've been talking about a lot. And I think you have mentioned quite many number of times as to how, if not for us, at least we must do this for our grandchildren
Children.
and the generations after.
Yeah, after.
So, sir, what little understanding I have of this topic is like this. I have only mentioned breastfeeding because that is what I tend to see the effects both directly and indirectly. Now, people tend to think, how can breastfeeding be related to environment and the desperation that we are seeing of environmental damage? Frankly, there is a huge amount of evidence. I don't know if you could take that as one of the reasons or one of the sub uh, themes in your DFCA agenda, because now we have enough evidence as to how not protecting breastfeeding is not only causing damage to the arable land, but of course it's got huge effects to the water resources, to the air, and ultimately, of course, all the specialists who seem to be seeing the indirect damage of it, the pulmonologists, the cardiologists, the obstetricians, and of course, we pediatricians are seeing it in day in and day out. And my humble request would be to put breastfeeding as a part of it. We have what is called as Breastfeeding Promoting Network of India, and
Sure.
of course, the world over, we have the Lalish League. That is a French organization which tends to promote breastfeeding, and there's a
Breastfeeding.
huge amount of evidence linking how, when you do not protect or propagate breastfeeding, it has all the effects that you've been talking about, or
Sure.
for the last 1.5 hours. So that will be my
Yeah.
humble request, sir.
Sure.
Second part, without going too long into it, is doctors getting connected to the environment directly or indirectly. You have already told about the various fora where they should get, involved. But my humble request is doctors themselves doing planting of a tree, or trying to talk about the segregation of waste, or not wasting water, things like that actually not only influences our students, but also a huge amount of patients and the caretakers who are taking care of these patients in a very direct and a indirect manner. So that's all I've got to say about this. And thank you so
Thank you.
very much, Vidya madam, to give me that chance to talk to this, very dignified and expert fora. Thank you so much. And all the
Dr.
best to
Vidya,
you, sir.
Thank you. Dr. Vidya, can I respond very short reply?
Please, sir, please.
Okay. Dr. Reddy, thank you very much. Very apt comments, and thank you for your brilliant words. Thank you so much. Regarding breastfeeding, definitely it's important. And regarding the other aspect, a very important point which you raised about the us ourselves doing actions. Actually, this is a whole area because time was limited, so I did not touch upon this area, and that is healthcare sector's contribution to air pollution. Our healthcare facilities are if all the healthcare facilities of the world were to be put together in the form of a country, it will be the fifth largest polluter in the world. 8% of the global air pollution comes from the healthcare facilities. We are one of the biggest polluters. We are one of the largest consumers of electricity. Our waste management practices are still very archaic, and therefore we add a lot. And charity begins at home. So there is a concept called green global hospital, of which I'm also a part. And we do this promotion also, that while we talk to people and patients, we also bring about changes within our hospital systems so that the healthcare facilities carbon footprint and air pollution footprint is brought down substantially, which is at a very alarmingly high level today. I 100% agree, Dr. Reddy, and this is an important area where we all need to work together. Thank you very much for your very apt comments.
Sir, lovely word, sir. I only have to say this, that when you said it was the fifth largest country, all the health setups put together, I was told that the Interplanetary Governance Body put it as the third biggest country. So that was 1991 findings. But now if it has come down to fifth biggest, so apparently there seems to be some improvement, but I don't see that in my day-to-day working at various places.
Sure.
Sir. So thank you very much for those kind words, sir. But yes, I would like to be involved and be a part of DFCA and the great work that you and the members around you are doing. Kudos to you. And yes, if I could be of any contribution to your noble activities, I would definitely feel worth it. Thank you so very much for giving me a chance to talk on this forum. Thank you, Vidya madam. Thank you.
So, Dr. Aravind, we have a WhatsApp group of all the previous faculty who have spoken on Marvelous Medicine. And today, many of the people who spoke to you today one-on-one are part of the group. So if you don't mind, please join that group so that they can reach out to you. Thank you.
I would love to have the invite for joining that WhatsApp group, and definitely I would leave. And I'll share all these coordinates with you, Dr. Vidya, so they could be shared with the people in a small way, big way. Even a small contribution, I think, is a big contribution. Thank you.
I've already, sent the your web page as well as the thing on the WhatsApp group as well.
Sure, I saw that. Yeah,
probably not just on the Zoom link, but also on the WhatsApp group. So I have already shared it. So if we haven't been able to sort of address any of the comments or messages that people left on the chat box, we're really sorry. But since we are all like little bit out of time, if someone has anything particular to say, please put your hand up or show the electronic hand up sign. Otherwise, we go to the closing comments of Dr. Aravind. Right,
none.
Sir? Yes, sir.
No, there are no comments, I think. There are no more questions. So closing comments from me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. So first of all, again, as I said in the beginning, my humble and sincere thanks to you, Dr. Vidya, and to Dr. Patta Radhakrishnan for starting this very, very useful group. And it's very interesting and little surprising also to see the discussion go on till 15 minutes beyond time, till 9:45. Typically, if you finish, the discussions also tend to finish 15 minutes earlier, but it's very interesting. So it just shows how much interest you have aroused in people. So thanks to you and Dr. Patta, and my thanks to my very dear friend, Dr. Puneet, for introducing me to this group. And thanks to the moderator of today's program, Dr. Arjun Khanna, my very dear pulmonologist from Faridabad, for moderating the session and for his kind words. And sincere thanks to all of you, friends, seniors, colleagues from across the country. And lastly, my very humble regards to my most respected teacher, Professor Samiran Nandi, who's made us whatever we are. So, with those words and with best wishes to all of you, and with a humble request to all of you that if you could join this movement, even in a small way, it would help us, it would help our children, it would help the future generations. We all have this fundamental right to be able to breathe clean air. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for that impactful presentation. I'm sure over the next 48 hours, you'll have several people reaching out to you. And we will also try to keep the momentum over in the coming weeks, reaching out to others who had logged in today. We hope to hear again from you on Marvelous Medicine, if not on the same topic, on something else in the coming weeks and months. We'll meet again next week with another episode of Marvelous Medicine. Actually, it is about conflict resolution, so something totally different. We'll meet again at 8 p.m. on Thursday, 11th of April. Till then, good night and take care.